When you think about the end of the world, you probably imagine something loud, right? A big declaration of war, some dramatic countdown clock. But the scary thing is, the apocalypse is often much quieter. It's a glitch in a system, a simple misunderstanding. It's a trick of the light in a secret bunker, where one man has to decide if a single flashing screen is just a mistake, or if it's the end of everything. Okay, so this is the moment. We're inside a secret command center deep underground just south of Moscow. Picture this. The air is just thick with the hum of old mainframe computers. It's the night shift, so everything is quiet, maybe a little monotonous. And then that silence just shatters. An alarm, a piercing, horrible alarm, just rips through the entire room. On the main monitor, one single, terrifying word flashes in blood-red Cyrillic letters. Start. The Soviet Union's early warning system, their eye in the sky, has just detected the launch of an American nuclear missile. So there it is. The doomsday alarm has sounded. This is it, the first signal of a potential global thermonuclear war. And the fate of billions of people now comes down to what happens in the next few minutes. But to really get the pressure of this moment, the sheer weight of it, we have to rewind a bit. You have to understand the world this was all happening in. See, 1983 wasn't just another year of the Cold War. It was a geopolitical tinderbox, just waiting for a spark. And believe me, the paranoia was building fast. In March, President Reagan calls the Soviet Union an evil empire. Then he proposes the Star Wars defense system, which the Soviets saw as a direct threat to their entire nuclear arsenal. Then, just 3 weeks before our story begins, the Soviets shoot down a civilian airliner, KAL-007. After that, communication between the two superpowers basically just stops. The whole world is holding its breath. And this fear, it wasn't one-sided at all. It was completely mutual and incredibly intense. While the US was hearing about an evil empire, the Soviets were looking at a very specific, terrifying threat: new Pershing II missiles being deployed in West Germany. These things could hit Moscow in under 8 minutes. 8 minutes. That's basically zero time to react. They were terrified of a surprise, decapitating first strike, and they thought it wasn't just possible, but that it was probably coming soon. This fear got so bad, it actually became official policy. The Soviet leader at the time, Yuri Andropov, launched something called Operation Ryan. It was this massive global intelligence mission with only one goal: find any scrap of evidence, anything at all, that the US was about to launch a first strike. This wasn't just tension anymore. This was a state-sponsored hunt for doomsday. Okay, so the world is on a total knife's edge. Let's go back to that bunker, where the fate of civilization really boils down to this one conflict between our two main characters, the man on duty and the machine he was supposed to obey without question. So let me introduce you to our guy, Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov. Now, here's what's so important about him. He was an engineer, not a career military officer trained to just blindly follow orders. He had actually helped design the very system he was now monitoring, so he knew its weaknesses. And in a wild twist of fate that might have literally saved the world, he wasn't even supposed to be there that night. He was just filling in for a sick coworker. And what's he watching? A system called OCO, the eye in the sky. Its job was brutally simple and absolutely terrifying. Satellites would spot the intense heat from an American missile launch and send an alert. The protocol was absolute. The officer on duty confirms the signal and immediately reports it up the chain of command. From there, the machinery of Armageddon would be completely unstoppable. Okay, back in the bunker. That alarm is just screaming. The screen shows one single missile launch. But Petrov's engineering mind immediately kicks in. His brain just goes, wait a minute. A first strike? With one missile? That's insane. It's suicide. So he reports it as a system malfunction. But he barely has a second to think before the alarm's pitch changes. A second launch is detected. And then a third. You can just imagine the scene, right? The other operators on the floor are just staring at him, their faces white as ghosts, waiting for him to give the order that will end the world. Then a fourth missile pops up. The whole room is just bathed in flashing red lights, reflecting off the sweat on everyone's faces. And finally, a fifth. The main screen is practically screaming at them now, declaring a missile strike imminent with high probability. The machine is absolutely certain. 5 nuclear warheads are at this very moment arching through space, and they are aimed straight at the Soviet Union. So the machine is 100% certain. Apocalypse now. But Petrov, he said later, I had a funny feeling in my gut. That's all he had. No proof, just this powerful intuition telling him that launching a nuclear war with only 5 missiles was strategically insane. He picked up the phone to High Command again, and he lied, reporting a system malfunction for the second time. So, Petrov makes the call. He goes against the machine, against protocol. And now all he can do is wait. And as we know now, he was right. So, what in the world happened? What tricked this supposedly perfect, state-of-the-art satellite network into seeing missiles that weren't there?
Well, it turns out it was just a case of unbelievable cosmic bad luck. A 1 in a million alignment of the Sun, the Earth, and the Oco satellite occurred. This meant sunlight hit some high-altitude clouds over the U.S. at the absolute perfect angle. The satellite sensors, which are designed to see the intense heat of a missile launch, saw this brilliant reflection instead and completely misinterpreted it as 5 separate ICBMs punching through the atmosphere.
Now, for the next 25 minutes, and I want you to really think about this, for 25 agonizing minutes, all they could do was wait and stare at the ground-based radar screens. If the missiles were real, this is where they'd show up. 10 minutes passed, then 15. The screens were just empty. 25 minutes later, the moment of supposed impact came, and it went. Nothing, just silence. The world had survived. Now you'd think the guy who single-handedly prevented nuclear war would be hailed as a hero, right? Well, the Soviet system didn't exactly reward people who exposed massive, catastrophic flaws in their prized technology. The aftermath for Petrov and the lessons we can take from his story are honestly just as chilling as the event itself. Yeah, there was no parade, no medals. The Soviet military couldn't exactly punish him for preventing World War III, but they also couldn't admit their billion-ruble system had failed so spectacularly. So what did they do? They found a loophole. They officially reprimanded him for a minor paperwork error. Seriously, he got passed over for promotion and ended up taking early retirement, his incredible story buried in secrecy for more than a decade. And this whole story brings us to a really scary question for today. Right now, we are racing to put AI into our defense systems to make them faster, more efficient. But what happens when you take out the one thing that saved us in 1983, human intuition? What happens when a machine's perfect logic is actually fatally flawed? You know, Petrov himself never thought of his actions as heroic. He was always really humble, almost confused by all the attention he got years later when the story came out. He always just said he was an engineer doing his job. But that night, his job required him to do something no machine ever could, to doubt, to question, and to actually consider the human cost of being wrong. And that's really the core lesson here, isn't it? An algorithm doesn't feel the weight of ending billions of lives. It doesn't get a funny feeling in its gut. Stanislav Petrov saved the world because he was human. And as we race to build the automated systems of the future, the ghost of that night in 1983 is a constant reminder. Maybe the most important safety feature of all is a human being in the loop.
Please like and subscribe.